this is just seriously dangerous. It's not just tragic, but what the kids go through, it's like, I think I prefer my extreme of blissful ignorance than everything in the face and available and ready to kind of like turn on people. And I wonder whether you've both worked with and been around virgins who are just too scared to like, now I'm getting old or older, which might be, I don't know, 16 or 26 or 36 or 56. It's like, what do I do? How do I stop? How does this work? How do I kiss? And the terror of maybe seeing their first vagina and thinking, well, what am I going to do there?
I have no idea where to go from there.
Someone
Oh,
save
wow.
the conversation. This
Wow,
is a
this, yeah,
big one. This is
it's,
huge.
you brought up like several things here. And so first of all, I'm still like very, very moved and touched by what you said about your youth, you know, like a physical racist attack. And at the same time, like being in puberty, trying to get to grips, what, you know, my body's changing. I have no idea what, you know,
Yeah.
oh, good, what this kind of new penis, new cock that's, you know,
Mm.
doing things that I'm not used to and that everybody can see and I can't hide it. And maybe it's rude, but then it's your body just doing its thing of like
Mm.
getting erect at the most inappropriate situations, like in the sex education in Netflix. I don't know if you watch that sex
Mm.
education on Netflix. And
Mm.
so there's like a 15-year-old who like tried to masturbate and doesn't work, and then it really sets in, and he says like, "Oh my God, you know, I can't deal with this, like getting out of hand." And he said, "The other day I got erect when I was looking at a piece of cheese." You know, it's kind of, what's my body doing? Yeah, what the hell? And how do I stop it? Or like in sports, yeah, you know, you do the
Mm.
wheel and suddenly get erect and everybody can see it because everybody's standing around.
Mm.
Oh,
Mm.
yeah,
Mm.
and very, very, very difficult. And so it's a shame that that kids are so left alone with their puberty. It's barbaric in my
Yeah.
and so and it's not, you know, tribal cultures took care of like taking like educating their children, and also you can see that erections are not about sex alone or about like offending
Mm.
females or so.
Mm.
So for example, I remember seeing a beautiful Lucky Leash statue in India where Lucky Leash is portrayed in a as a statue in meditation pose and has a heart on, yeah, and so that this is also like, it's also like can be something
Mm.
spiritual. It's
Mm.
not all about sex, huh?
Mm.
And so that's why I think it's barbaric what we're doing to kids today by
Mm.
omission.
And separating the two. No way, as a nice Catholic boy, should sex be anywhere near spirit. Where now, as my own man, it's not easy to separate them in a way. They go together, and I would say the thing that brings the physical and the spiritual together for me is the emotional. Maybe that's just me, or maybe it's the way that I operate. But generally, and I remember from years ago being accused of liking scary sex, which was sober and connected. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm. And I was thinking of the where and how to start losing virginity or even kissing anything, and where and how people start, and how often, especially with the males, it's just riddled with secrets and lies. More lies than secrets, absolute nonsense, and the pressure. And I wonder how much of the pressure can actually lead to abuse, one way or another, emotional or trickery or betrayal, or who knows, especially it's just landed in my head these days, with the stuff that people do, taking photos of themselves and each other, and the whole school seeing it, the whole community seeing what's what. And I was thinking of, I think she was 14, maybe 15-year-old girl, where this happened. And I worked with her because I knew the family, and what an absolute state of everyone kind of emotionally seeing and knowing everything. And that's the end of her life. Yeah, I think I could go on, but I'll stop there because I've got a tendency of piling it on here. And then it's like, where do we start with this? I guess I rarely have these conversations. I have them with my clients. But to be talking openly like this is breaking that secrecy, laying it bare, and very, very important.
So what you're talking about, the 14-year-old girl, that she shared something like intimate parts on pictures, and her classmates passed it on to others.
Yeah, it's actually, okay. I think this happened in the sex education movie, if I remember. The whole school saw something or other. I don't remember now, but it Seriously? Is in the sex education movie. But with, in the movie. With this girl, it was the same. It was that literally the whole school saw. And the other part that I held back from saying is then she had a sexual experience that wasn't right and it wasn't good. And she kept quiet about it because she didn't know what is right and good and what to say and who to. And she wasn't one of the popular girls. And, you know, it's like this must be crippling. And then when one of the other girls started talking about it, she said, "Me too," and basically said what? And no one believed her. So the betrayal after betrayal after betrayal, and the exposure and the being alone. I mean, this is just seriously dangerous. It's not just tragic, but what the kids go through. It's like, I think I prefer my extreme of blissful ignorance than everything in the face and available and ready to kind of like turn on people as it is now. Yeah.
Well, I guess it's kind of adding insult to the injury. Yeah? So because for you, it was like the racist that was injury, yeah? But then kind of adding the insult, like everybody knows that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's tragic. It's horrible, really horrible. And I don't really know how to solve that either, other than educating kids. Don't take photos of your private parts, even if it's like for a loved one or a boyfriend. Even, you know, don't succumb to pressure. And I think maybe that Scandinavian countries are better at educating kids about boundaries. Because first of all, what the kids need to learn is boundaries. And there are, I've seen some material about like primary school kids, first of all, are talking about bodies, what is private. And so this is just for me or my mom or the doctor to touch, but not for anybody else. To kind of teach them about boundaries. I think that's really moving. Wanting to be popular, wanting to go along with it. And so building this confidence about being able to say no, even if that doesn't make me popular. And maybe that's where the virgin also comes in. And so there is a time when everybody is kind of fumbling around and trying things out in teenage years, and also having missed that and maybe being a virgin in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, in their 50s or 60s, and so everybody almost is more experienced than them. And so it's a tricky situation to be really relaxed when sex is on offer. And it takes some kind of like being able to just like build those skills, but also boundaries, not having to go along with what the woman wants, really checking in and saying like, you know what, that's really tempting, position for me to go home with you, but I was just checking in on myself. And I think at the moment that's a no for you. How do you feel about that? Is that how, is that really like a yes for you? And so managing expectations, that's also really important. And feeling that they can take some time.
Yeah, the Verdant thing reminds me of this film that I saw not long ago. It's called Good Luck to You, Leo Grand. Have you heard of it? You seen it? Yeah, it's a great film. It's about this woman in I think she's in her 50s, and her whole life she's only had sex with her husband, and it's just been very kind of like repetitive sex. Like he just gets on top of her, and then he goes at it, and he comes and he falls asleep. And he passes away, and the movie starts with her being in her 50s, recently widowed, and she hires a male sex worker to explore with her and to figure things out. And so she's not a virgin, strictly speaking, but for me, it has the same kind of mood, the same kind of energy, and it was a really, really good movie.
Yes, I liked that movie a lot, and so it was also hilarious because she had never had an orgasm with her husband, and so the sex worker asked her. Well, she said, "Well, I would make the sounds, and so to just pretend that I had an orgasm." And then the sex worker asked, "Well, how would you go?" And she would go like, "Oh, oh, oh," something like that. And they both had like a good laugh about that, but also this kind of all the kind of social conditioning in the beginning that they had to get out of the way, the kind of like all the judgments that she had about, like on the one hand, like hiring the sex worker, on the other hand, all kind of like, oh, this is wrong, what am I doing here? Yeah, it was quite a beautiful movie there. I love that.
Two words that you said that I feel are keys. Number one is relax, and number two is fun. I wonder how many people have relaxed fun. And in long-term relationships, I've known in my life that it can sometimes be charged, unresolved issues, into a sacred sexual place where they may or may not belong. And how to break the spell for me has always been communication. But it took me long enough to find my tongue, as it were, because we didn't talk about anything. It was I went to Catholic school as well, and we were given a little booklet that if there are certain arousals and movements that we are to turn to the side and say our Hail Marys. And that's how it was. That's what it, and I'm not that ancient. This was in the 70s, probably mid 70s. Or yeah, that's not that long ago.
Actually, I love that because it's also like a way to bring spirituality to erections. Hail Mary.
Just beautiful.
How does it go?
Full of grace. The Lord is with thee.
The Lord is with thee. Yeah. So we need to be careful here because, like, Catholics may be offended, but it can be also like if you reinterpret that is exactly could be the bridge.
Yeah, absolutely empowering.